I don't know. This song here, the original song was a Rush by Ira Star.
Mm-hmm.
It was kind of my theme song for the beginning of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Ain't no time for the hate on the bad energy. Got my mind on my money. Well, not literally my money, but progress. You know what I'm saying? Good morning once again, 12 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome back to Activated Mornings. We are live on Facebook and YouTube at WFM 99 SPG. Of course, you can listen to us 99.9 on your radio or your favorite online streaming app. And of course, triple nine wfm.com. Okay. The WhatsApp number to call us or message us or send us a voice note is 4579997. I have not heard my friend from Georgetown in a while. Is it Georgetown or Oyo? Somewhere on the Windward, upper Windward side, North Windward. Yes. And the number to call as well, 4579997 in studio this morning. Ari and yours truly, Crystal. I'm speaking of Georgetown. Good morning, Georgetown. I heard you guys had a very dry Christmas because they had no water. There was a bit of an issue with water, and
That's the
some people,
CWSA thing, the
yeah,
mud flow or
yeah,
something like that.
mudslide, something like that, and they were without water. So some people, well, they couldn't cook. So some folks did not have a usual Christmas. But let me just like really quickly, thank God it was not a replication or duplication of 2013. So while it was not the same as always, we have to thank God that it's not the worst that we have experienced as a country.
What happened in 2013?
Um, the December floods that took the lives of several Vincentians
Oh, yes.
and several landslides occurred, and there was quite an extensive bit of damage. I can't remember the total number of people, I can't remember the total number of persons, but it was multiple families impacted, and it happened on Christmas Eve.
Your life is interesting,
Very much
because
so.
when something doesn't directly impact you, you kind of remove from it. I was living in the States during that time, and the person, the young lady that died in Bookament, Pembroke,
Yeah.
actually was my friend, and I didn't realize that
What's her
other
name
things
again?
happened. Kezia.
Kes
Kezia.
Kezel
Kezia.
Keslia.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there was another name. She was a student when I was working at JHS. Very quiet and very pretty girl, and her
But yeah,
sister too, my younger sister. And I think they love the family. Some folks from love your family. And this woman who had just got married, I believe.
yeah, I don't know about
Um,
any of that. All I knew is the flooding in Pembroke, Bookament there.
a quick call is coming through. Good morning, welcome.
Good morning, Christal
Good
and
morning.
Harry.
Good morning.
Just want to phone and say Happy New Year and thanks. I got my gift last week.
Lovely.
My watch,
Lovely.
my phone.
Lovely. Oh, you got a phone?
I got my phone. It was very nice.
From
it
Flo?
was an A13. Lovely.
From Flo?
From Flo.
So I am surprised
I want
because
it with you and Harry.
yes, I thought it was
So
a
I am
tablet.
just saying thank you.
I thought it was
and
a tablet
I have
as
a
well.
quiet, nice Christmas.
You're welcome. That's
And I
lovely.
hope you had one too.
Yeah, it was good. Thank you so much for checking in.
Okay,
All
bye.
right, you take
And
care.
thanks.
You're welcome. No problem at all.
Bye.
For those persons who won and have not collected, tomorrow is the very final day, Thursday, from 10 to maybe about 2 o'clock, 10 to 2. Same place in Kingstown. For those of you who won from Frank B. Armstrong, Better Brands Distributors, Facey Trading, and there's another one that you have to collect. I think there's one more case from Brewery. You have to collect in Kingstown at WEFM'S office upstairs where Century Insurance is, First and Vincent Bank Limited building. Anyways, so we were talking about, of course, your opening, your greetings, and what's not, a number to call, and how life is so fickle and precious, and we only have, unless you believe in reincarnation, one chance at this. Cooman,
Mm-hmm.
Cooman. I don't think there are many people who have never met Cooman in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Once you pass through Kingstown, um, more so like bottom town area, because he would have lived right behind between Oti and Victoria Park. My first introduction, or one of my first introduction to Cooman, was, or maybe earliest memories was, you remember when Shark Bar, for those of you who remember, Shark Bar was a bar in Kingston on Back Street. And this one time I went, and he was downstairs, and he was a very funny guy. And it spoke to his intellect. He was a former tennis player, as far as I know, and far as people say. And the people who would have played with him back in the day said he was a really good tennis player. There were times when you would see him, and I'll go back to the story. There were times when you would see him in like Massey parking lot in Stony Ground. He would just be playing with his little racket and his ball, just knocking it on. I think they had an old board outside, so he used to be playing tennis. Like really, 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 really talented person. Every now and then during carnival season, a soca artist would acquire his services to do an intro. And I think like people really appreciated his personality. He was not someone who would trouble and harass people on the street. He would also look after your vehicle for you don't have to give me anything. You can just give me a small thing, you know. Um he would often call women, and if it was one thing, he was never disrespectful. He would often call women his yellow golden apple. You know, I was feeling really special until I saw like comments online where like other women were saying he would call me yellow golden apple. So look at us over here, like fighting to be the number one yellow golden apple. But he was always that kind of person. And I think outside of the obvious drug addiction, because I think he spoke to it publicly already, um, he was a good soul and he was very smart. But something happened somewhere in his lifetime that he just could not come back from. Now, that story with Shark Bar, somebody was smoking, and he asked for one of the cigars, and the person said no. And he's like, what happened? You don't think I want cancer too? And I think at that point everybody was like so shocked, like, hold on. This guy is actually really funny. Like, we have to give you
It's the
one.
voice as well.
Yes, the voice.
I don't want cancer too.
Yeah. You don't think I want cancer? I'm like, wow, that's really creative. But he will be missed, and there were some folks who would have helped him out during his life. And those attempts to bring him back from the drug addiction were all futile. Unfortunately, drug addiction is not an easy thing to catch back yourself from, quote unquote. I think in this time I could say shout outs to OT. OT would have attempted some years ago. His former classmates would have attempted, a number of people would have attempted to, quote unquote, save Cooman, but it just never really materialized. Um you wanna jump in with anything, or you
No,
just
I
want me
didn't.
to?
I didn't know.
You didn't know Cooman?
I didn't know Kuman. So over the weekend,
Oh.
I just saw a lot of posts. So like, I know who Kuman is, but
Yeah.
I didn't. I didn't
No.
have interactions with him. I don't have stories. I don't have memories. But I would see a lot of posts and post videos. I saw Release post some videos. I
Yeah.
saw different people post pictures, videos, their interactions with Kuman that they caught on camera, and a lot of people have stories, and it's all in good fun.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always a joke that he's saying. It's always it's him, as you said, beating the
With
ball
tennis
against
racket.
and I didn't know he was actually an athlete.
Yeah, I think he was a national tennis player at one point.
Yeah, the Eyewitness News said he had beat Grant Connell in did they say yeah, I don't think a year, so
Yeah, I think
yeah.
he was playing with the likes of like Onaik Span. Big up to Onaik as well.
Yeah.
Really, really sad. And like people would now post a lot of content from, like what they've gathered and repost. But I wish folks would share the photograph of that time when Oti attempted to help him, and he looked really good. He looked really good. There's one with him, like I think they were at Rockfort, and he was just sitting on the rock. That was a really nice photograph of him. I do remember during that time too, he was even going to church. And it brings to question, right? Drug addiction, it messes with your brain. Like there are certain chemicals that are not for everybody, right? There are some people who can smoke marijuana, weed, and be okay, and they can come off and be fine. There's some folks who would smoke it and they will not be fine. Maybe it is that they have like pre-existing mental health concerns or whatever, or something mixed with something, but it's not for everybody. And it's been said that his problem was with being addicted to cocaine. That is very serious. Very serious.
Are we sure it's like actual cocaine or crack?
I am not too certain, but like that's what people say. I think he did an interview sometime in the past, sharing how it got started. You know, I see people like speculating online, but not everybody's story is with them like actively going out and say, I want to try this. There's sometimes where people are given things and that is the end of them. There's sometimes where people choose to be persuaded and influenced by others because they were forced to take certain things or they felt obligated to try certain drugs. And that is the end of them. There are so many talented people in the streets of Kingstown. It's not funny. There was a gentleman who I think Scorpion did a remake of his song. There's a musician on the streets with mental illness and drug addiction. And here we have a tennis player passing. I think it's really sad that he passed without being able to come back or go back to a place of quote unquote normalcy. I do not believe that we take like drug addiction in St. Vincent and Grenadines seriously enough.
I do think that, and that is a bigger conversation that we should have. Like, rest in peace to Cooman, but there are a lot of his story is very familiar. I'm pretty sure someone has a story of somebody in the village that they were up and coming. They were talented in some way, shape, or form. They had a career they were building, and everything went out the door because of a drug addiction. And now they're washing people's vehicle, they're picking fruits, and different odd jobs that they're clearly more intelligent to be doing. Not demeaning anyone's job, but I'm sure most persons will understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And what can be done to curb this here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines?
No, there is a mental health rehabilitation center that is specifically for mental health. And while you can go and get some services for like drug addiction, I don't think it is tailored to the needs of a drug addict. First and foremost, the drugs are too easily accessible. And whenever the person comes quote unquote clean and they get back on the street because they have spent insufficient time in rehabilitation, some form of rehabilitation, they know exactly where to go. And sometimes, depending on who you are on the street, people might pay you in that form. They don't give you money, but they give you drugs. And because you're so like, it's too easy to get back into it. I know we have stories of a gentleman who is now, I think he's now washing vehicles. He wrote a book just the other day, just this year. He released the book, published the book. He was a drug addict, and by will and force, he was able to clean up himself. Those stories are like few and far between. Generally, it's very hard for somebody to clean themselves of drug addiction without external intervention. but I am not confident in the external intervention that is available here. At one point in time, there was a private institution that was offering drug rehabilitation services. I have not heard of that institution in a while. I'm not too sure if it still exists, but
I feel like people often just forget about it. They see someone's life deteriorating, and they try in the beginning, and then they're like, okay, there's so much we can do, and no, it's the way it is. I can't say it's overwhelmingly. I can't say it's a crazy number of persons, but there are situations that we're all, like Cooman situation is something that we're too familiar with. That means that there's a problem.
yeah, there's a problem. But then there are some people who are addicted who are not on the street, right? They're not in Kingstown, but they might be in a community somewhere else. There's also alcohol addiction and sex addiction. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. I know you only got 2 minutes. Do you have open forum?
The open forum normally comes at 9:20.
Huh?
The open forum comes at 9:20.
9:20. So, all right, I'll call back at 9:20. All right, bye.
All right, thanks.
All right. And I was looking at this story that says SVG still has no psychiatrist, even as more witnesses battle mental impact of crime.
Now, when they say SVG, what do they mean? Like within the system, SVG, or nationally, SVG? Like Vincentians, there are no Vincentian psychiatrists. Because the system doesn't have, because the one person that they had the other day, no longer employed by the government, is in Vincent and the Grenadines. The struggle continues. It has been this year, one of our psychiatrists passed away. God bless her soul. May she rest in peace. And that put us in a really peculiar situation. Now, we obviously need more than one psychiatrist because no one person can deal with the entire system. Plus, privately. So how are we going to fix it? Are we going to outsource and bring in? Are we going to offer incentives to Vincentians to study and become qualified to offer the service that is in dire need? And this is not the first time, man. This is not the first time, and it's definitely not going to be the last that this problem is going to exist. It has to be solved at some point, and somehow we need psychiatrists in this place, not just for the judicial system, but privately. I think privately there's like one or two. Why they're not working with the government is beyond me. Working with probably too much. Got deal with the whole system. Nah, that's too much for one person or two. So what are we gonna do? And do we see it as a necessary investment to outsource, to offer the job to maybe 2-3 people from another country? At one particular point, there was somebody from Barbados, and clearly that didn't last very long. We'll continue to suffer. Anyways.
Well, I guess the most we can do now is hope for a change.
Or demand it. I spent some money where the money is needed to be spent.
But how many people care that much about this? For them to be a public demand, for there to be an outcry. How many people genuinely care enough about this?
Let me go back a bit. How many people understand the need?
And then there's that as well.
Yeah, I understand before you could care.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about, okay, increase in VAT or increase in some costs, increase in customs, taxes or something, because it's hitting home for more people, they're going to speak more about it. COVID-19 and the vaccines, it's hitting home to a lot of people. So they would talk about it and then they would understand because people are constantly talking about those things, or were rather. But the importance and value of a psychiatrist, multiple psychiatrists, and mental health and drug addiction, I don't think people understand it very well. Anyways, what's the time? 8:32. We take a
Break
stop.
and come right back.
Yeah.